Today I have 4 tips to help you have a better dehydrating journey. Let's get started. Hi folks, it's Darcy from the Purposeful Welcome to my channel. Today I want to help you have a more successful dehydrating project. I'm going to give you 4 tips to help you get through your project to make it more successful so that you can start stocking your pantry with dried foods that your family will eat all the time. So let's get started. My first tip is to do your research. Now, many people like to just kind of fly by the seat of their pants and just think that I can slice it, I can dry it, it's going to be perfect. And for most cases, that's true. But too many times I have people that come to me and say, why do my potatoes turn dark? And I ask, did you blanch them? And they said, no, I didn't know that I had to blanch them. And a little bit of research would have saved that project for them. So let me recommend to you, do your research first. Now, I have a website here that I'll leave a link down below as well on how to dehydrate. So you can use the link below. That's 200 best dehydrating recipes that are on the internet that I have vetted all of them. They're either ones that I wrote myself, or if I haven't written them yet, that I link to somebody who has the best project that I think that's out there. And so they've been vetted, they're good, they should be all current. So you're ready to go with any kind of food that you're ready to dehydrate for most people. So there's that, but you can also just Google, you can just find out quick information that way. Or, for those of you who are like me, who like to have cookbooks, I have cookbooks that I keep handy. These are my 2 favorites. One is very good for beginners because it's got tons of pictures in it. The other one is really informational with not as many pictures, but it's kind of the gold standard for dehydrating books. So these are my 2 favorites. I'll leave links for them down below as well. But you can use any kind of medium to get your information, but go look it up first, just so that you know there might not be some sneaky step in there that you should have done before you finish your project. Now, for those of you who love that adventure, then go for it. I don't want to stop you from doing that. But I know that a lot of people would save their first project if they would have just looked it up first to make sure that they've got the right temperature. And here's a handy tool for that. I've created this dehydrating magnet that gives you the common foods and then the common temperatures for all of them, both in Fahrenheit and Celsius, that sticks to your refrigerator or to your dehydrator that has a stainless steel outer edge to it, either whether, however that works for you, that you can get. It's on my website, and it's less than $6 US. So it's a handy tool to have as well, so that you don't have to go look it up. You kind of know what the temperatures are here. So that little thing to look it up first, just to make sure that you get the right process, that you get the right temperature, because also if you're dehydrating proteins, you want to make sure you have the safest temperature for those that you can. So just look it up first before you give it a try. My second tip is to take good notes. Now, whether or not you write in your books, whether you put it in a notebook, whether you do anything else, however you do it, take notes of the project that you do so that you know how to do it better the next time. Or if you found the perfect way, then you know what to do the next time. Like, for instance, if you're doing vegetable chips and you want to make notes of the flavors you tried this time versus the flavors that you want to try the next time, it's good to take notes someplace so that you know what you tried and what you'd like to try again. If you need a little head start on that, I've got a link down below to great seasoning recipes for vegetable chips, and you can take notes on the things that I have there, but you may have flavor profiles you like yourself. But when you do like zucchini chips the next time, you'll have notes handy about what you tried before, what you liked, what you didn't like, and what to try again the next time. Also, you can take notes about the temperature that you tried for something to know how it worked this time and how it might work the next time. So for things like citrus, you can often have citrus done at the time that's recommended is 135 Fahrenheit, 57 Celsius. But this is what can happen if you dry it at that temperature, because sugars will brown. It doesn't mean that this lemon tastes bad. It doesn't. It tastes just like lemon, but it doesn't have a look that you like. You would like it to look more like this. So the next time you dehydrate any kind of citrus, you will have made a note to say, next time, drop the temperature a little bit. And what I do is drop it between 125 Fahrenheit, 52 Celsius, down to about 100, or even lower, because the temperature doesn't matter as long as you understand that it's going to take longer to dry. As long as you're not doing a protein, proteins matter for their temperature. But that's how you know to take notes about, I tried it this way, next time I'm going to try it this way. Okay? So my third piece of advice is to always store in an airtight container if you plan on putting it back for storage, okay? Now, if you're having something that you're gonna make and you plan on eating it in the next 3 days, a zipper top bag is just fine, okay? It doesn't matter. But to use a zipper top bag for your long-term storage means that you're giving your food the chance of absorbing the air and moisture that will come through that plastic, because that plastic is permeable, which means things will eventually get through. And so it's not the best for long-term storage. And the same goes for any kind of container that you're using. You want to make sure that your container is airtight. Now you can use a canning jar. You can use any kind of commercial jar that you get at the store. This happens to be an Alfredo brand that we happen to like, and we use it. I keep all of the jars as we use them for when I want to make a quick meal. I keep these jars later because they are perfect for storing dehydrated goods in. If you buy salsa in a glass jar, keep that salsa jar afterwards because it's perfect as well. So just make sure that you store your food in an airtight container for long-term storage, because that way you don't get foods that get soft and you don't have to dry them again, and you save the chance for you to get mold developing over time because air and moisture were allowed to get in that container and ruin your food. Okay? Then the fourth tip is, when you're storing in whatever container that you store in, always label your jar. Okay? Now, whether you use painter's tape or masking tape, whether you use a formal labeling system, whether you just write it on the jar top, always label this jar. Because while I will always look at this and know that these are onion flakes, I know what they look like. They will always look the same. They don't look like almost anything else. And they're easy to smell. They are very, you know what they are. The problem comes when you have things like, sorry, I'm trying to grab them from my table. Things like this that look almost exactly the same. So if you didn't know better, you wouldn't know that this is celery powder and this is zucchini powder. Now, celery powder is used oftentimes to replace salt. It's a seasoning, an herb that you can use to do any kind of flavoring, but zucchini powder is not. And if you get this mixed up, while most of the time it won't be a big deal, it may not come out, the recipe you were doing may not come out the way you'd hoped. The same goes with something like beet powder and raspberry powder often look close. And strawberry powder, if I brought them into, it would look a lot like this. So it's really important that no matter what you're drying and how you're storing it, to label those jars or containers so that you know what it is. Herbs are also one of the things that if you look at a line of dark leafy things that you've dried, most of them will look exactly the same. Most of them will also smell a lot alike until you actually kind of rub them and activate those essential oils in them, and then they start putting off more of their individual smells, aromas, I should say. But when you're just looking at them, they look the same, and so you want to always make sure that you label those jars to keep an idea of what's what, because the last thing that you want to do is to try to make a pumpkin pie from tomato powder, because it doesn't work. They look pretty similar. They smell kind of similar, but they don't perform the same way. So I hope those tips helped you. They're just 4 quick and easy tips to help make your dehydrating projects a little better. And if you're new to dehydrating, watch this series of videos here because it will help you a ton. Learn how to dehydrate from beginning to end and all the questions that are most asked about dehydrating. And until I see you again next time, happy dehydrating.